So picture this. You're on a routine 6-hour bus ride, and it turns into a complete descent into terror. Today, we're going to explore a really well-documented story out of Taiwan that, it starts off seeming like a huge stroke of luck, but it ends in this chilling, totally unexplainable tragedy. So let's dive right in.
And look, this isn't just some campfire story we're talking about. The young man at the center of all this, he actually managed to capture what he says is photographic evidence. And that's what turned his personal horror story into this viral and, honestly, a deeply unsettling mystery.
Okay, so let's set the scene. The date is September 4th, 2017. We've got a young man, his name is Zhu, and he is just rushing through a bus station in southern Taiwan. He's late for his trip home to Taipei, and you know how it is, he's just bracing for the absolute worst. A totally packed bus, probably a miserable seat for a super long ride. But then he finally gets on board, and he is just stunned. I mean, the bus is completely empty. It's just him and the driver. So after a second of being confused, he just kind of chalks it up to good fortune. He's thinking, hey, my lucky day. And he settles in for the 6-hour journey, totally happy to have this private ride all to himself. So he's just enjoying the peace and quiet, right? And then, suddenly, he hears a woman's cough from somewhere behind him. He whips his head around, but there's nobody there. The bus is still totally empty. He tries to, rationalize it. Was that the wind? Maybe the engine? He just kind of dismisses it and tries to relax again. All right, so fast forward a few hours. Zhu wakes up from a nap, and it's dark outside. They're on the highway. He gets a text from a friend just asking how the ride is going. When Zhu tells him he's got this private empty bus, his friend is like, no way, I don't believe you. And he asks for proof. And, that simple little request. That's what changes everything. Now, it just so happens that Zhu is a semi-professional photographer, so he pulls out his really high-quality digital camera. He turns around, points it down the aisle at all the empty seats, and snaps a picture. But when he looks down at the screen to send it to his friend, his blood just runs cold. Because in the photo on his camera, there is something there that was not there a second ago. The story goes that he saw the shape of this distorted human arm and hand, just extending down from the ceiling. And of course, he immediately tries to explain it away. Is it his own reflection? Well, no, because the hand in the picture isn't holding a camera. Is it the driver's? No way, the guy's hands are on the wheel. There was just no logical explanation for it. And this is exactly where things just spiral completely out of control. Panicked, Zhu grabs his phone to text his friend. But the screen is black. It's totally dead, even though he had a full charge just moments before. And then he hears it. It's not a single cough this time. It's the sound of tons of people whispering right behind him. The empty seats, they start to creak and rock, almost like invisible passengers are settling in for the ride. Zhu is just frozen with fear. He's way too terrified to even turn his head. So for 3 agonizing hours, Zhu just stays huddled in his seat, praying for this ride to be over. And as the bus finally pulls into the station in Taipei, all the sounds just stop, abruptly. Zhu grabs his stuff, he's ready to just bolt out of there, but the driver calls out to him. He can see how shaken up Zhu is. And in that moment, Zhu knows he has to show him that photograph. So Zhu pulls out his camera. He shows the driver this impossible image he captured, and he just blurts it all out. The whispering, the rocking seats, his phone dying. He's totally expecting the driver to be shocked, right? Or maybe not believe him. But the driver's reaction is so much more chilling than that. The driver just glances at the photo and then calmly hands the camera back. He tells Zhu, don't show this to anyone, it'll be bad for business. I mean, think about that. He isn't surprised. He's not scared at all. And his just casual acceptance of it confirms Zhu's absolute worst fear. This wasn't the first time this has happened. Completely stunned, Zhu just promises to keep quiet and gets off that bus as fast as he can. So when Zhu finally gets home, he's exhausted. He's totally shaken up, and he sees people on the streets holding these red lanterns. And suddenly, a really crucial detail just clicks into place for him. He realizes the date, it's now September 5th, and he had completely forgotten what that day meant. See, he had arrived on the very first day of the Hungry Ghost Festival. This is a huge tradition where it's believed the gates to the afterlife swing wide open, and it allows spirits, both good and bad, to just roam the earth. And all of a sudden, his terrifying journey
well, it started to make a very, very different kind of sense.
And here's the really crucial point, the timing. Local superstition says that September 4th, the day before the festival officially starts, that's the day the spirits are traveling to their destinations. It's considered a deeply unlucky day, maybe even a dangerous day for the living to be out on the road.
And that's when Zhu understood why his bus had been empty. Nobody else was foolish enough to travel that day. He wasn't lucky, he was just oblivious. And he had very likely shared his private ride with an entire busload of unseen passengers. So now he's worried that he's cursed. Zhu posts the photo online, which is actually a local custom meant to kind of dilute bad luck by sharing it with others. Well, the post goes viral, but all the terrified comments just made his fear worse, so he deleted it. A few days go by, and as things stayed quiet, he started to feel safe again. But then, exactly 1 week after his ride, he saw a news story that brought all that horror rushing right back.
The headline was about a horrific highway accident. A single bus had crashed. The news report said 6 people were killed and 11 more were injured. And as Zhu was reading this article, this cold sense of dread just starts to wash over him. See, the article had a photo of the driver. It was the same man. The vehicle in the wreckage, it was the same bus. The crash itself had happened on the exact same route. These were not just coincidences. This was a terrifying, terrible confirmation. Okay, so officially, the crash was blamed on driver negligence, and the guy was sent to jail. But the onboard video footage from those final moments right before the crash, well, it tells a much, much stranger story. The driver doesn't look tired. He doesn't look like he's distracted by his phone. He seems to be reacting to something inside the bus, something just out of the camera's view. If you watch the footage, his attention is completely captured by something off to his side. He's turning his head, he's looking, he even seems to be reaching for something that we can't see, right up until the very moment of impact. And here's the thing, the driver never made a public statement explaining what he was doing. And all of that leaves us with this final chilling question. Was this whole thing just a tragic accident, the result of a tired driver? Or, when you consider Zhu's horrifying experience and that impossible photograph, was there another passenger on that bus? A malevolent spirit that simply refused to get off?